You know, we are in full election season. It's been more than 24 hours since the first ballot was cast. Counting day is on May 23rd. Now, one of the reforms has been announced by Narendra Modi government and which had come out in one of the union budgets was to introduce a concept of electoral bonds. The idea being the political party should know the source of funds. This should be done by a bond scheme, and even the voters should know about it, who is actually funding the political parties. This was very contentious, as this government says it's cracking down on black money. A lot of parties cried foul. We finally saw a PIL all the way up to the Supreme Court. Now, even though it's election season full swing, the Attorney General making a case for it, the opposition crying foul, the Supreme Court has decided there will be no interim stay. In fact, the next hearing is going to be on May 30th, which basically means after elections are over, all the phases are over, and after counting day. Counting day is, of course, May 23rd. Let me go across to Abhimanyu Sharma for more on this. Abhimanyu, what transpired in course? And, you know, which way should we look at it? Is electoral bonds here for this elections? It's not here for this elections? Because, you know, the next hearing is going to be after we know who's going to form the new government.
Well, exactly, and in fact, the date of the next hearing is not even clear till now. Till the 30th of May, all details have to be given by all political parties in a sealed cover to the Election Commission. The details will have to comprise not only the names and identities of donors, but also the amount which they have donated to particular political parties. The political parties will have to submit details of whatever donations they have received from donors by means of electoral bonds. Hence, the electoral bond scheme is very much in place till the next government is formed, and that is something which has certainly come as a shot in the arm because for the centre, because the centre was demanding this itself. The centre had submitted before the court that this was an experiment initiated by the union government in order to tackle the menace of black money. They had sought the court's support. They had also said that if at all it does not work well, the new government which comes in place next might reconsider the entire scheme. So that is something which now would possibly be considered by the Apex Court itself, if not the new government which comes in place. The Apex Court itself will consider the issue of electoral bonds, not only the legality of the same, but also the aspect of anonymity of donors which donate to different political parties. The centre had argued that the identities of donors need to remain secret. They need to remain anonymous in order to prevent victimization, whereas the petitioners had claimed that this was becoming a channel to funnel black money into the system, not only from within India, but also by foreign funding. So certainly some degree of transparency would be initiated by this interim order of the Apex Court, since the details will have to be submitted to the Election Commission, though they may not come out in the public domain, but they will remain in custody of the Election Commission and will come out before the Apex Court when the court starts hearing this matter.
Okay, thanks, Abhimanyu, for taking us through all of this. And now, in fact, I'm going to talk about it more in detail. We've got a guest for our viewers, and you will want to know his views. This is Major General Anil Verma, the head of ADR, you know, closely monitoring the case, one of the parties, plus regular updates also as far as the electoral bond scheme goes. Thank you for joining us here on ET Now. So the way I have to look at it now is that there is no interim stay. So one way to be looking at it, sir, is that whatever the BJP has received, which has received almost 98% as the beneficiary of the electoral bond scheme so far, it gets to enjoy that money for this election. There is no stay on it. It doesn't have to provide details of it till way after elections are over to the Supreme Court, at least till 7 days after counting day.
Yeah, we are quite disappointed at the interim judgment, or whatever you call it, which the Supreme Court has given today, because we were hoping for a stay on the scheme, and so that the huge amounts of money which are coming in are not used in this election season which is going on. As you are aware, what you just mentioned, actually those are the figures which the political parties gave out in the donations reports which they submitted to the Election Commission. They pertain to 2017-18, in which rupees 222 crores was declared having been received through electoral bonds, out of which 210 crores went to BJP, 5 crores went to Congress, and 6 crores went to JDS. Now, as per the RTI activist who disclosed them he obtained from State Bank of India. In the balance of last year, about 1,500 crores were received through electoral bonds, and during this two issues in 2019, that is in January and in March, April, 1,700 and some crores has been received. So total of 2,700 some crores we are already talking about in 2019.
This graphics pointer.
Sorry?
Mr. Verma, they're going to become, Major Verma, they're going to be coming up as graphic pointers as well on the type of the screen. So you don't have to take us through those figures. I want to understand why it is that you decided to petition against the electoral.
Yeah. Okay, so let me come to the exact thing. What we are saying is...
I want to know that why it is that you are...
By the logic of the AG in the court, wherein he says, what right does the voter have to know where the political funding is coming from? And how can they, and he repeated it twice, not once, yesterday in the court. And the other point which I have, in a sealed cover, the details of all the money which is coming will be given to the Election Commission, and then what? What will the Election Commission do about it? Are they in a position to scrutinize what are the antecedents, what is the paper trail, where is this money coming from, what are the type of companies, are they shell companies, was this money routed, the black money routed through foreign listing companies, and again it has come back to... See, KYC and all is fine. Anybody can float a company and this thing. The main reason what we are saying transparency should be there is that if all these details are there in the public domain, as it was hitherto, all donations above rupees 20,000 which were to be given to the political parties, they were reflected in their donation reports. Who's the donor, what is this thing. Now the government is saying that, okay, these details are there, but they are not meant for the public.
I want to understand one thing. Are you therefore suggesting, I want to understand one thing. Are you therefore suggesting, what are you against? Are you against the electoral bond scheme? Are you against transparency? Are you against, or are you favoring that indeed cash should be used and not be revealed? Or are you saying cash should be received but then it should be revealed, which of course is going to be very difficult? Can you just tell me what exactly is your problem with the electoral bond scheme? Why do you think it is not a good move against black money? Why do you think it's not a good move to make sure that corporate houses don't give money and get favors in return? If you can explain that to us.
Not only ADR, you read the affidavit which the Election Commission itself has submitted to the Supreme Court. You read the two letters which the Election Commission has written in 2017 to the Ministry of Law, and then they were transferred to the Ministry of Finance, and the Ministry of Finance transferred into the Economic Affairs, and no reply was received after that. The objections in the affidavit of the Election Commission itself, they have said what exactly I was saying a minute ago, that how are we sure that this is not black money which is being converted into white and routed through this? We don't know the antecedents of the Election Commission affidavit also says that there may be foreign funding coming in through. How do we know? So my point is that unless these things are in the public domain, this whole scheme needs to be scrapped. All the checks and balances which were there earlier, through various amendments to the RBI Act, the Companies Act, the People's Representation Act, they have all been done away with. Earlier, a company could not donate more than 7.5% of its profits. It had to be a profit-making company. The average of 3 years profit was to be taken, and then 7.5% was to be worked out. It needed to have the sanction of the board of directors.
Sir, the point I'm trying to get at, sir, is that when you have all of those rules about 7% of profit and all of that, that's for white money, that's for legitimate money, right? But that's not for black money. That cannot be accounted for, and that has been the whole problem in political funding. So are you therefore saying that there should be no scheme like the electoral bond scheme? You want more checks and balances? What's the point of reverting fully to the old scheme? And even in this election, look at the thousands of crores that have been recovered so far from north to south, east to west.
Exactly. So cash is still floating around. So that is what I'm saying. And are you recommending that there should be no limit on the donations to the political parties? Because there is no limit now. Any amount, I mean, the electoral bond starts
there
from
must be limitations. I'm trying to ask you, I am trying to ask you, my opinion doesn't matter. I'm trying to ask you that are you against the entire electoral bond scheme, or do you believe that it needs to be tweaked, reworked, and make it more efficient?
I'm telling you, our whole petition was for the scrapping of the electoral bond scheme. That is what RPIL was all about. When nothing happened, there were no hearings, then we said, please grant us a stay at least, that this electoral bond scheme is going on unchecked. And even now, the Supreme Court verdict, what they have given, the electoral bonds donations will continue till the elections are over. So another few thousand crores will come in, which nobody will know about. Only the Election Commission now may get to know. Elections will be over.
Fair point. You know, Mr. Verma, this really needs to be discussed far more in detail. It's in the middle of the election season. Supreme Court clearly putting this off till 30th of May. Here's an open invitation to please join us on our flagship program, India Development Debate at 9 p.m. We'll get you on camera. We definitely need to get more into this. It's a burning discussion, a burning topic, right in the middle of discussion, funding. How are the political parties receiving their funding? What's the point of having an electoral bond scheme if cash is indeed being recovered across the country along with contrabands? So we'll get into all of that at 9 p.m. and we look forward to having you as a live guest then.